Hi Threaders, it's me, Cherie, here to do another fabulous tutorial for my blog, My Daily Threads. If you've had a chance to visit the blog last week, you saw a post about this fabulous pink halter dress. Okay, I promised that I was going to get it up and going, and I tried to get it going last week, but due to some camera issues and trying to figure out this whole lighting and all that kind of stuff, we're trying to go to the next level. At least I am, and trying to figure all that stuff out. It just didn't work out that I would have it posted last week, so I am here to fulfill my word, my promise, and get that video started for you today. Okay, so I promised that I would do two different versions of the tutorial. One will be on paper using an existing pattern and the slash and spread method. The other would be, well, my little girlfriend here, my little miniature dress form. I'll show you later on in the week how to drape on your dress form. I will be using my own little miniature version right here, and of course you will use yours, your personal dress form, but I'm going to use her, and everything I do on the miniature version, of course, you simply do on your own personal version. Okay, so we're going to get started with her later on in the week. For now, I'm going to go ahead and show you what else you're going to need to do this fabulous tutorial. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with that. The first thing you're going to need is your pattern. Okay, now remember, I said if you have a halter pattern already that you want to use, you can use it. Okay, it doesn't matter the vintage halter patterns, newer halter patterns, whatever you want to use, you can simply follow the slash and spread method and do the other steps that I'm going to give you really quickly, and you will still be able to achieve the same thing. Okay, so don't worry. If you don't have Simplicity 1112, not to worry. Okay, use a halter pattern that you already have. Okay, for this dress, this pink dress, I did not use a pattern. I draped this dress myself, and so I didn't do a drop back on this pattern. I actually did the back up. So if I turn her around, you can see the back is all the way up as well. So usually on halters you'll see this actual halter. Well, I did the dress basically the same way that I would a halter dress. Only difference is I used a choker and I chose to leave the back intact. Okay, so that's pretty much what I did, and I just draped it on my own personal size dress form. Okay, for those of you who don't have it, that's why we're going to use an existing pattern, and one that you can always find. You can always get patterns on sale, 99 cents, $1.99. Whenever I find those sales, I always go get like your basic top patterns and pants patterns, because I am forever ripping those apart and changing them around and doing things. And so I always buy like 2 or 3 at a time, especially when it's something that I know I love, like halters in the summertime. Whenever I find a halter pattern on sale, I try and stock up. And if they have 5, I usually buy all 5 of them out. So, you know, I usually buy all of them. And that way, if I want to do it for different family members or friend, which I rarely do, because you guys know Miss Cherie does not sew for other people. But on occasion, when I'm feeling generous, and usually it's for my mom or 2 of my sisters, then I will go ahead and make one. So I usually buy all the different sizes of the pattern. And again, it's Simplicity 112, and this is a good place to start if you want to do this dress. Really, really, really simple, because guess what? It already has the back as well. Okay, so that's another reason why when I looked up online, I said, well, what pattern could I use to show them how to do this really quickly? And this is the perfect pattern. Perfect pattern. Okay. Secondly, you want to have your pattern paper. Okay. We used to call this paper blue dot paper when I was in school many years ago. And the reason why is it was dots, and it used to be perfectly 1-inch square all the way around. Okay. Well, now it's still like it has numbers and letters and plus signs and stuff like that. But it's still, every square is perfectly 1 inch. Okay, which is why I love this paper. And I hate when I don't have it, and I haven't had a chance to go downtown and I got to use different sources. It's fine, but this just makes it so easy, because I know where I am on my pattern and on my paper, because everything's a perfect inch, so you always know where you are. Okay, and it's just easy. It's just a perfect guide. Okay, so I love this pattern paper. Also, your French curve if you have one. If not, you can wing it. But I always have this handy, especially when I'm doing my hems or when I'm curving something out, and especially when you're spreading, doing a slash and spread method, you want to kind of keep that line kind of going really smooth around. This is perfectly for that. Okay, you want to, of course, have your tape measure, your trusty tape measure. Definitely want to have that. You want to have your paper scissors. Okay, please don't use your good scissors to cut patterns. Paper scissors only. Of course, you want to have several different types of rulers. I always have them handy. Which ones you use are up to you, but I always make sure I have at least 2 clear rulers on my table when I'm doing work, and I also have my good old yardstick. Okay, so you're going to need that. You're also going to need some Sharpies or some markers, okay, fine tip markers. I always have 2 colors. Therefore, if I mess up when I'm drawing my line or my hem, or I'm doing something to the pattern and I mess up, I always make sure I have a blue or a red pen so I can cross little lines across it, so I know, okay, not that line, that's the wrong line, this is the right line that I drew underneath it. Okay, so that's why I always have different color markers. They always come in handy. Okay, and your paperweights, just to kind of keep things steady and laying down flat. Okay, so let me go ahead and get started with the first things you want to do for this. Of course, you want to cut out your pattern. Okay, I got a lot of this stuff done previously, otherwise this tutorial would be an hour long, and I know many of you don't have that time. If you're like me, you work, especially during the summer, I work 11 and a half hours before I come home, and sometimes, I just don't have time to spend a lot of time fussing around with things. So I'm going to do this with everything already mostly pre-done, so that you can kind of get the gist of it, but kind of zip through it yourselves. Okay, because I totally understand what it's like to not have a whole lot of time. All right, so let me pull my little girlfriend over here really quick, and I'm going to show you how to take your measurements, okay, for this thing. Basically, the pattern is the measurement. The one measurement that you want to do is your length, okay, how long you want your dress to be. Now, if you are going to use a choker, okay, like I did for this dress, if you're going to use a choker, you want to put that on before you take your measurement. Okay, put that on, see where it rests, okay, on you, and then from there you're going to put it right like behind it, so that it's like perfectly right there. Okay, that's where that dress is gonna fall. Okay, and then measure all the way down. Okay, if you're going to use fabric pieces to make your own little ties, you're going to make little ties with your fabric, that's fine. You just simply take your dress form, go to the center front of your dress form, and kind of right where you think you want yours to fall. If you want it like right at the neck, which I seriously do not recommend, because you'll be choking yourself out and it'll be irritating you, but maybe like 2 inches below right where your the little dent is in your throat right there, maybe like 1 or 2 inches below that. 2 inches is good, and 3 is even better. And then just measure all the way down your center front, all the way down to the ground. If you want to wear heels with this type of dress, put them on before you take your measurement. Otherwise, your dress will be flooding, okay? So make sure you put your heels on. I did not put heels on because I did want to wear flats with it. I just kind of wanted a more earthy look, kind of hippie-ish, little 60s and 70s kind of thing, little hippies, and I wanted that kind of thing. So I did not put on heels with mine. And after wearing heels all week at work, you would understand, and I'm sure many of you lovely ladies do the same. So yeah, when I do things a lot of times, I will do it with flats because I want to be comfortable, when I do things. And some people think this is a really, really elegant dress, and it's really pretty, and the fabric is like, it's a sheer, so I did have to double up on it, but it's very light and very perfect for spraying. It's so perfect for spraying. So it's very versatile. If you want to dress it up, you can, or you can just wear it with flats and kind of put on your little gold bangles up to here, to your elbows, or your wooden jewelry, however you want to accessorize it. You can make this dress anything you want, from I'm going to a really nice, after 5 kind of thing, and use the right kind of fabric, black or something, really soft, You can play around with the style of this dress, which is why I love it. So it's kind of just your own personal preference. But anyway, that's the measurement you want to take. You don't have to worry about any other measurements. You really don't, because guess what? Your pattern is already your size and your guide. So the only thing you really have to worry about is how long I'm going to make it. That's it. Nothing else. Okay? So after you take your measurement, of course, write that down so you don't forget it, okay? Remember to add an inch to that, or however much you want to, big you want to make your hem. Now, when you're using chiffons or challis or things that are really lightweight and movable, things like that, you want to, I usually do a rolled hem, and depending on that, on something, I will just overlock it and leave it sometimes at that point, because they're doing that a lot these days with different styles, kind of just overlocking the bottom in the same exact thread to perfectly match my fabric. You can't even tell it's there. So yeah, sometimes I get lazy that way, but always add at least an inch, inch and a half, depending on what kind of finishing you want to use for your hem. Okay? All right, so once you cut your pattern out, what you're going to do, like I said, I've already gotten a lot of this done. You want to draw lines from the top of your pattern to the bottom of your pattern. Top to bottom, okay? Again, the great thing about this paper is that it's 1 inch apart, so it just basically laying my clear ruler on it and drawing it at every 1 inch mark, okay? People say, well, do you have to have it at 1 inch? No, you don't have to have it at 1 inch. You can measure your slashes out whatever way you want. Just remember, it's the more slashes you make, the easier it is to kind of spread your pattern out and manipulate the pattern. Say you just did 2 slashes. Well, yeah, you can spread that, but remember, it's only going to spread so much because you still have these big bulks of weight in the 2 pieces that you cut. So if you cut up once, then you only have 2 pieces, okay? If you cut it twice, then, you're really only going to have 4 pieces. So the more lines you create and slashes you create, the easier it is, because you're easing that tension in the paper. Remember, this is paper, it's not fabric, so you're easing the tension and making it easier to spread your pattern apart. Okay, so once you actually make your lines from top to bottom all the way across your pattern, then you're going to cut. Okay, you're going to cut on those lines. Now you're going to cut all the way to the top, but not through. Do not cut through your pattern. If you do cut through the pattern, you're going to have a miserable time. It's going to frustrate you, because you're going to have to figure out, okay, where did this go? The pieces are falling apart. They're not staying together. Then when I spread it, it moves again. So you want to cut it, but you don't want to cut it through. So you see how those 2 little pieces are just kind of dangling and hanging on into the pattern there? That's what you want to do. And you want to do that on every line all the way across your pattern. Okay, do that. All right, so draw your lines, cut your pieces, and cut them, but don't cut through the pattern. Please don't cut through your pattern, because I don't want you to get mad at me when you're frustrated with what you've done. Okay? Once you do that, take your actual pattern and lay it on your pattern paper. Whatever kind of paper you're using. I don't care if it's newspaper, if it's the painter's paper that you've seen me use in my other videos, which I do have a big old roll of that against the wall as well. Because if I run out of this and I can't get to downtown, hey, you got to do what you got to do. So whatever paper you're using, take your pattern, lay it out on your paper, and begin to spread it. Spread your pieces. Nice and neat. But remember, look, you see how I'm still keeping the top shape of this, just giving it a little curve, but the neck of the pattern is still thin. You don't want to do it so that your piece is curving way up here, okay? You're spreading probably a little bit too much. So you kind of want to still keep the integrity of the pattern, but making your adding inches to the, bulk of your pattern, the weight at the bottom of your pattern is where you're adding it into the midsection. But you don't really want to alter your neck and your armhole so much that you've actually pretty much changed the pattern. You don't want to do that, okay? Now, when you slash and you begin to spread your pieces onto your pattern paper, you want to lay your pattern paper down and lay your pattern on top of it. And what I always do is I take my center front, and I lay it on the edge of the paper, okay? The raw edge of the paper as my guide, okay? I always lay that on my guide, on the raw edge of the paper as my guide, so I know, okay? And then I tape that down, and from there, I begin to spread and tape, okay? Spread and tape. All right. Now, of course, you see this already cut out, but yours won't be. It'll just be spread out on your table. Remember, you spread it out, and I would suggest taking your pattern paper all the way to the top of the paper that you're going to be using as your pattern paper, because you remember, you're going to need a lot of length, and you're going to need a lot of width when you start spreading that pattern out, okay? So, once you have it all spread out how you want to, then, of course, you're going to take your tape measure. Okay. I got jumped ahead of myself, okay? So, go back for a second. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. All right. Before I actually cut my pattern, I don't know why I keep forgetting this step. Before I actually cut my pattern, I actually took a ruler and I went to the tip of my armhole. So here's my armhole here, the top of it. Took my ruler, went to the top of my armhole and drew a line from the armhole, tip of my armhole, all the way to the center front, straight across the pattern. Okay, so that's this little black line you see going across there. Just zoop, straight across, okay? The reason being is because now, and I always remember that I forgot to do that step when I get to this step, okay? So what you do at this point is when you're spreading it around, you're spreading your pattern, that line is there. That line is your guide for inches and how long you want it to be. And people say, well, I started up here. I know, you started up there for, you know, as a guide for a measurement, your length there. I still do it because I always want to know, oh, when I try that on, do I like it really long, and do I want it with heels on, or do I want it with flats? I don't know. So, yes, a lot of my stuff ends up being super long, and from there I decide, no, I want a short, or yeah, I like it long, and now I can keep it long, and I haven't cut it exactly for flats. So I just kind of give myself that thing. Otherwise, you'll be drawing, taking your pattern on the paper, and you'll be taking your yardstick or your tape measure, whichever you choose. You can take your tape measure from that line, okay, wherever you are, and begin to make your mark all the way, okay? So just kind of follow your line. You have your line there, and just keep hitting. Say it's 36 inches. Look at that. Oh, it's 36 inches. So it is perfect. And you just kind of keep going all the way around. That line that you're getting at the bottom is your hemline, okay? So that's what you're doing, and that's what I use that marker for. So I know from here, where's the tip of my armhole? Right there. All the way down is like 36 inches. And so because I don't want my hem to be uneven or look like my dress is high-low, so I have long sides, because remember, when you spread your dress out, it's like this at an angle, okay? This, of course, the fabric doesn't stay out like this. Like your paper looks like it's like this. But the side of your dress doesn't stay like this when you cut it out in fabric. It falls. So guess what? This part that was extended, if you don't cut it even at that same inch all the way around the bottom of your pattern, the sides of your pattern, when they fall, are going to be too long. Okay, it's going to look like you have 2 points on the side of your dress. How do I know that? Because guess what? I made a boo-boo and forgot that myself. Sometimes I'm racing through these things and I'll just do it and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to do my hem evenly. And I said, oh, you know what? That might be cute. Guess what? It was not cute. And I had to go back, sit my dress form on top of this table, and actually pin and start cutting the hem because I did not like those little wing tips on the side of the dress. So that's why I draw this marker here, and that's why I measure, take my tape measure, or I take my yardstick. If my yardstick is long enough for whatever I'm doing, usually on these types of dresses it's not, but you know, just kind of take it. Do. So say mine was 36 inches from here to the floor. Guess what? When I did it here, I still used that 36 inches because, yeah, I'm probably going to be about 4 inches too long. about 5.5 inches too long. But that was okay for me. If you don't want to have that extra 5.5 inches, just remember from here to the floor, okay, was 36 inches. Take away 4 inches. How long is it from center front till you think you get to right at your underarm? So if you measure around yourself, this is the top. This is where your underarm. See that sideways? I'm sucking in my stomach because I don't want y'all to see I just ate. So right there. So you know from there, turn your tape measure here and go down to the floor. Okay? Do that. And it would be the exact measurement plus 1 inch. So you wouldn't have to worry about it. Again, I just do mine that way because sometimes I think I want to wear it with my sandals, and then I put them on, I'm like, oh shoot, I should have left that alone because I really like it better with heels, and now my dress looks like I'm flooding. So I still keep mine long, and then if I don't like it, guess what? Then I just cut away 4 inches. Not a big deal. Okay? So that is that. So once you've done that, you spread it out, you got your center front cut, laying exactly on the line. You got everything spread out and everything taped down. Then, of course, you're going to make sure that you have it how many inches all the way down with your tape measure at the center front first. Okay, going all the way down, measure, and then stay on that line you drew. Stay on that line you drew and keep going all the way across, 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 okay? And as you're doing it, you're making your little mark. Little line all the way across. That's your hemline, okay? Then you go back, take your little scissors, and you cut that line, okay, around there. If you want, you can also take your little French curve, which I think comes in handy, right? Take this and just kind of clean it up and just kind of go all the way around with your hem, okay? So that's what I use this for, okay? For the sake of the video, again, I'm just trying to save time, ladies, so I'm not doing everything on tape, otherwise this video tutorial would be extremely long, okay? Once you do that, you're going to do the same exact thing to your back piece, okay? Same exact thing to your back piece, all right? Now, for those of you who are going to use a pattern that has a high back, like my dress does, where it doesn't, like most halters are halter in the back, right? Well, I used a choker and I took mine all the way up to the top. What you want to do, and what I did was, you cut your front piece on the fold. You do not cut your back piece on the fold, okay? Depending on your fabric, if you have to double up or you want to line it and make it really pretty and just flow and just a nice weight and look really professional, mine is doubled up and it is fully lined. So, and when I say doubled up, I mean it's fully lined. Okay, so it looks really nice. I love it because the armholes are clean, the neckline is really, really clean. Everything is just so perfect. This dress just really was a knockout. But again, guess who was rushing and made another boo-boo, okay? Even though I cut my 2 back pieces, I didn't cut it on the fold. I cut it and made 2 separate back pieces. I forgot to stop when I was sewing at about 7 inches. Okay, now, because of my height and my size, it was fine. I just took my choker, turned it to the side, pulled it over my neck, closed the choker, and then moved the choker around. Okay, so I don't want you guys to do that, but basically I have my choker, put it over my head and from the side, then closed my choker, and then I just kind of went like that and straightened out my dress. Bam. Easy fix. Because after I completely lined the dress, I was not about to check it apart and fix that little boo-boo. I was like, you know what? I can learn to live with it, but I'll just tell my sew sisters what to do. So basically, as you're sewing, you're going to stop at least 7 inches down. Okay? So take your tape measure, and I would say, yep, that's about 7 inches. 7 inches down, okay? You're going to stop sewing, all right? Right there. So you're going to start here and go down, okay? Start at 7 inches. Make a little notch right there. Make a notch, okay, to remind yourself. Start your sewing here and sew your seam down. Now, the 5/8 that you have on your seam allowance here, because actually this pattern is not cut on the fold in the back either. Okay, so you can just have your little seam in the back and you're good. Alright, and you'll have 5/8 inch here and here, and you just kind of fold it in. And when you go to make your top and finish off the top part of your dress, that will be sewn in because you have your lining. If you line it, if you don't line it, just, tack it down. Leaving this open so that part of your back of your dress is on this side of the choker and the other side of your dress is on the other side of your choker. Okay, so you have the front, which is one whole piece with no seam down the front, and then you have one part of your back on one side of the choker and the other, so that when you put the dress on over your head, your choker's coming down like this, and you close it in the back. Boop, and you're going to have a little peekaboo right there, which is still pretty. And I love it that way because I've done that before as well. So I do love it. But I just want you to not have to turn your choker around like some crazy woman like I was. Like, what am I doing? And how did I do that? And then I realized, oh my God, I didn't leave a slit in the back. How am I supposed to put this thing on without taking it off the choker? Well, I didn't have to take it off, but I did have to take it to the side and feed it in. Don't do that. Okay, do it the right way. Make your notch at 7 inches. Start sewing here and down. Leave yourself your opening here, tack it down, separate it so part of your back is on the left side of the choker and the other part is on the right side of the choker, and you'll be good to go. Okay? So, that is it. See? Real simple. There is nothing else to the slash and spread method. It really isn't. You just kind of, cut it, you slash it, you spread it, you tape it down to your paper, you draw your hem at the bottom of the paper, you make sure that you take your yardstick and match it up with your side seam, like so, okay? Draw your side seam all the way down and meet your hem. Guess what? You're good to go. That's it, ladies. Nothing else. All done, all finished, and I hope this was less than 30 minutes. I hope so. Anyway, we're all done with the paper portion. Later on this week, I'm going to get back to the draping portion for those of you who want to learn how to do it on your dress form. So don't forget, tune in later on this week and join me as I do another fabulous tutorial for my daily threads. Bye, threaders!